If they do what they say they're going to do and invade Rafah, yes, they will kill a lot of civilians, and I think that's wrong, and they shouldn't be doing this. But it's also quite likely, given what's happened so far, that they will effectively eliminate the current version of Hamas. Now, you're right, I think, in sharing my view, that the ideology will live on, but it may not live on as Hamas. And I don't see how any Israel government could ever possibly do a deal with Hamas.
Does it even make any sense? He is, first of all, approving or actually disapproving. He's kind of like saying, okay, you should not be going to to Rafah, where there are a lot of innocent civilians who will get killed. I mean, that is the inevitable result of it. But at the same time, he is saying that, well, even though I disapprove that Israeli forces will go to Rafah, but don't you think there is a benefit to it, that Israeli forces will somehow get rid of Hamas? Like, this is how stupid his comments are when he talked about the operation in Rafah by the Israeli forces.
Well, you know, the American government did a deal with the Taliban. I don't think anyone believed that would happen in 2001 too. Things change, unfortunately. That's the world we live in. I would just respond to your Hamas point, which is the reality is that all that matters is what happens. You keep saying, I wish they wouldn't do it this way. Well, they are doing it this way. That's all that matters, Piers. You either support it or you don't support it.
That's
you
true.
can say, I wish we get rid of Hamas and I wish we... The reality is they're going to go into Rafah. They're going to kill innocent people. Are you and I, as people who speak to our audiences, try and tell the truth about what's happening in the world, are we going to call that out? Are we going to hold that to account? Are we going to scrutinize that? Are we going to condemn it? I am. That's what matters. And by the way, on the whole getting rid of Hamas, again, you're too generous towards the Israeli government. If it was just about Hamas in Gaza, they wouldn't have killed a record number of people and a record number of children in the West Bank, where Mahmoud Abbas and Fatah are in control. And Mahmoud Abbas came out again the other day and said, we respect Israel's rights to exist. We want a state alongside it. They won't do a deal with Mahmoud Abbas. This is not about Hamas, Piers. Hamas could disappear tomorrow. Benjamin Netanyahu and his allies would come up with another reason not to.
I mean, this is exactly what they're doing right now. They are talking about Rafah. They want to invade Rafah. So who they find the boogeyman as? Well, you have it already, Hamas. So in other words, they want to get rid of the people of Palestine altogether. And they're using excuses one after another. This time, if it is Rafah, then next time it will be some other place. And then it will continue on. So no matter how you look at this, I mean, Piers Morgan, he's just, what he said, even though, obviously doesn't make sense. But when he said that Rafah operation would wipe out the Hamas and its ideology, that's what he said, basically. Hamas ideology, it's not the ideology that he believes is creating this problem, but Hamas ideology is the biggest problem. Even though he is saying that, this is somehow going to be a successful operation, that at least will not have Hamas in Rafah, but at the same time, he's saying it is okay for the Israeli government to go into Rafah and attack and invade. So Piers Morgan, he is there in his position to approve any genocidal act by the Israeli government, whether it is in Rafah or whether it is in Gaza, whether it is the West Bank. It doesn't matter, as Mehdi Hasan is pointing out clearly in this video.
To allow the Palestinians to be
Would
free.
you be genuinely comfortable, Mehdi, just last point on this, but would you be genuinely comfortable at the end of all this, after October the 7th, for Hamas, who perpetrated that atrocity, to actually hold any power in Gaza?
No, I wouldn't. I don't live in Gaza. I don't think they've done a good job running Gaza. I'm not a fan of Hamas. I've been condemning them since I was 16 years old. But again, it's not in my control, right? Do I think Hamas should run Gaza? No. Do I think Benjamin Netanyahu should run Israel? No. Do I think Israelis can do a deal with Hamas? Probably not right now. Do I think Palestinians can do a deal with Netanyahu, who's just killed 33,000 people minimum, if probably tens of thousands more under the rubble? No. But that's the world we live in, right? You do deals, you negotiate with your enemies, not your friends. If we want peace, if those of us who are not Israeli-Palestinian, from the outside, want to help that place get to peace, we have to urge people to sit down, talk, negotiate, get some kind of agreement where everyone is treated as equals, whether that's one state where everyone lives equally side by side, which is my preference, but it's not my choice, or two states where they live side by side. Whatever gives the Palestinians their freedom.
So basically, in other words, again, according to Piers Morgan, he is shamelessly approving Israeli idea of this monster's attack on Rafah, because he believes it is, at the end of the day, it's all worth it because we'll get rid of Hamas. I mean, this guy, does he eat hummus? There is a food, I think it's a food called hummus. Does he eat that too much, Piers Morgan? Because he cannot get out of this in his head. Somehow it got stuck so deeply that somehow Hamas is responsible. We must condemn it. Anyone who believes otherwise is a Hamas supporter, a Hamas sympathizer, and that this operation, this genocide should continue until we get rid of Hamas and their ideology forever. Even though he does believe that people of Palestine will continue to resist, but they will not do it at least the way Hamas wants them to do it. This guy is insane. This guy is lunatic. He doesn't really have anything in his mind. He doesn't, I don't know. I mean, he doesn't think. Piers Morgan, he doesn't think. He just comes up with his own story that will fit his narrative, the narrative that he wants to then apply and force on his audiences, especially the Zionist one, and convince them and brainwash them that somehow this genocide is justified because, again, of Hamas. This Hamas gene must be unpossessed. There should be a imam, there should be a sheikh or a mullah. Go to Piers Morgan and get this jinn of Hamas out of his mind. Otherwise, I don't see him getting cured anytime soon. Thank you so much for watching.